Welcome to the 2022 Economic Depression and Preparation Channel. I'm your host, Tony. Thank you for joining me on this Sunday brief edition to end the month, October 30th, 2022. Please be sure to subscribe and to support this channel, and I appreciate your support. And I read all of your comments, and I do think that they're awesome and valid and insightful comments as well. So today we're just going to talk about two brief things, and that's inflation continuing to rise with everyone's expectations, as well as states' revenues are going to be dropping, and what the comments that Janet Yellen made recently in the news. So as you can see here, key inflation rates for the Fed rose 0.5%, a half percentage point in September, and that's in line with expectations. So we know that core CPE or PCE, personal consumption expenditures, are rising. Food and energy is not included in this price. So we can see now that inflation is still at 8.5% and above. It has only come down less than 2.002% this point in the last 3 months. And so now, in order to do that, we know that these shops coming into the holidays of Thanksgiving and Christmas are going to be increasing prices in order to meet, not just to meet the demand, but also to meet the rising cost of production inputs that they have to experience, with shipping costs going up around the world, the pipeline situation with Russia, Ukraine, the grain situation, the other commodities that are continuing to rise in price as well. So we're facing a two-edged sword here of inflation and rising prices, but wages are not increasing in this environment, as you know. I think the senior citizens of our community and of our nation are going to get the largest increase in 40 years in Social Security. They're getting an 8.5% or 9% increase, cost of living adjustment, as they call it, a COLA, in the Social Security check, which is taking effect in January. So that's great. But everyone else is not seeing those gains in their paychecks. So therefore, what we're going to be seeing is a stagnating wages, high prices, high inflation type of economy, which is not good going into 2023. Earnings season is disappointed. Janet Yellen says, "I don't see any signs of a recession." Quote, according to Market Watch, "I don't see any signs of a recession in the economy at this point. The signs are all around." Treasury Secretary cites low unemployment, but that's not including the people who have given up for work, or who are working in the gig economy, working 2 or 3 jobs extra in addition to their main job. That's not included in those numbers. So you may have low unemployment, but you may have high underemployment. You see what I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen? We are a nation, a service-based economy, and 2/3 of our GDP, gross domestic product, is based on consumption. But we have low unemployment but high underemployment, meaning that your main job, whether in the public or private sector, is not enough to meet ends meet. After your expenses and your deductions come out at the end of the month, you're still short. So you have to work another gig economy or a small job, another part-time job, at a Walmart or a Dollar General or something like that, or online. That's what underemployment. So underemployment is on the rise in the United States, because even if those people get a full salary, they're not getting the 40-hour weeks that we're accustomed to seeing. They're getting maybe 20 or 15 hours. You've seen that with many of the stores and the seasonal hiring that used to go on in this nation. But that's a topic for a different day. So right now, what we have is Janet Yellen coming out and saying that, quote, we're at full employment economy. It's very natural that the growth could slow, she says, and it's over the first 3 quarters of this year, but it continues to be okay. We have very strong labor market. I don't see any signs of recession. Well, what economy have you been looking at, ladies and gentlemen? Ms. Janet Yellen, we have a slowdown in the UK economy. We have a slowdown in the US economy. We have a slowdown in the Indian, Chinese economy, Japan economy. Matter of fact, Japan just passed a stimulus bill, over 20 billion yen, to help their economy. So I don't know if we're looking at the same two economies here. One good note is that the GDP, according to the official numbers, rose by 2.4%. That's why we thus avoided another negative GDP quarter. Somehow they magically massaged the numbers. But we are in for a painful 2023. That's the good news, is that the GDP didn't go down below zero. But the bad news is we're in for a painful fourth quarter and winter in 2023, because we don't have a strong labor market, and there's no more stimulus checks coming in, and the rent moratoriums and all of that is going to be drying up, and the states are going to be drying up here. As you can see, California revenue, usnews.com, decline amid economic worries. The good times might soon be over for California's government. As you know, that they passed a bill, and here you can see in this photo, the robots are working on the Tesla Model S cars. Now they have robots. You used to have people working on the assembly line. Now they have robots. But they passed a stimulus check, $21 billion in stimulus checks that they sent to taxpayers over the last 2 years. Now this has come back to bite them in the butt. Now we're seeing that this economy in California, the nation's fourth largest economy, is going to be drying up. There's a, quote, 80% chance now that California will be about $8 billion short when its fiscal year ends next summer, according to the latest estimate from the nonpartisan group Legislative Analyst Offers. Governor Newsom has created an environment here where he's giving away free money to corporations and low taxes, and has at the same time has raised corporate taxes and raised the minimum wage to a point where companies are moving out of California for Texas and other areas that are more business friendly, and they can get labor at more economical cost. And as you can see, that more states are going to be crying out for the federal government to have more money given to them, not just California, but New York, Florida, Texas, Illinois, all of these states, Washington State, all of these states that were begging everybody to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour, which is a moot point when we have inflation, real inflation, at 19-20%. The minimum wage could be $15, $16 an hour and not make a dent in that cost of living, because the inflation is at 20% already or higher in America and other countries. The UK's inflation, real inflation number, is above 15%. So that's the big conundrum. What we need to do is we need to continue to cut back our standard of living, because we know that the standard of living is going to be declining in the U.S. gradually. Thank God it's not a front and full-on front collapse that many people have been predicting. I don't think it's going to be that way. It's going to be a gradual slide down into second place status as China and the rest of the countries take first place status in the world in terms of production, and in terms of, leading the world in terms of production, and in terms of economic activity and growth. This is what we're seeing. And so to prepare for that, ladies and gentlemen, we have to cut back on our costs. We have to cut back on our food costs, our transportation, utility costs, on our personal leisure expenditures until we can get through this rough patch, which is going to last through the next 5 years, regardless of who takes office in the next couple of elections here. The economy is going through a shift. It's going to a technological, digital, cashless society, and this is going to be kind of a painful transition, because we're going to be spending money, and we're going to be going into a depression, a different type of depression that we had in 1929, and more states are going to be asking for money from the federal government, and the government is broke. They only get money through taxation and other means, and so this is what we're looking at. But stay encouraged, be blessed. This week we're going to see more earnings reports, and this week we're also going to get the Federal Reserve raise. They're going to raise it 75 basis points on November 1st and November 2nd, their meeting. So look forward to that. I'll be back on with that meeting, and we're going to see how these markets react, and we're going to see how Americans react as they continue to battle inflation into the holiday season, Thanksgiving and Christmas. Thank you very much for joining me. God bless. Take care. Talk to you very soon.